Hi again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Chuck. My name is Chuck Guglielmo, a weekly interview show where we talk with interesting people. And usually we have one guest, but today we have several guests from the Conneaut High School Spartan football team. Of course, head coach Rocco Dobran.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. We have
Nathan Eaton, Austin Pinkerton, Chance Woodworth.
and we're all here to review the just completed football season. And Rocco, I'd have to say this is 4 years in a row now that we've had a winning season, and you had an extra prize to go with it. Being in a conference for the first time, being able to at least share a conference championship over there in District 10. Your feelings?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. I think the program is headed in a good direction. Anytime you have 4 winning seasons in a row, it's a positive, and that's a tribute to these guys right here. A conference championship added to that, and I think it was, once they realized what that meant, because for a while I don't think they were even sure that, what it meant. And I think once we lost to Corey, I think they thought that there was no chance of winning a conference championship, and I'm like, no, you can still win. You just got to win out. And so once they realized what that meant and what it meant to play for a conference, and that they could have their pictures on the wall and their season up there, I think that motivated them a little bit. And so it definitely it was a good thing for the program. And then we kind of talked to the junior class about next year. That's 4 winning seasons in a row, and that's awesome. And so now what are we going to do in the off season to get to the next level? Because we kind of been sitting at that 6-4, 7-3, and what are some things we can do in the off season to get to the next level and even raise the bar even higher for ourselves. So,
In those 4 years, you compiled a record of 25-15. The 9 years previous to that, 13-77. So what a job by you to turn the program around, and I think it starts with recruitment.
We try to. Thank you first of all, and when I came in here, we always said that we were going to start at the youth level, CLYO level, and try to get kids involved and excited at that level, and then the middle school and on up. And 4 years ago, when we had that first 6-4 season, 33 kids. The next year, all of a sudden, we had 60 kids come out. So winning helped, and some other things. I was in the high school for that 1 year, and I think that helped. And just getting some kids out, and then these kids just kind of spreading the word. And I think people are enjoying, seeing what we do. Is like the crowds we get, which is a tribute to the community, and the things we do for the kids. We have like team picnics and team bonding things that we do constantly, and team meals and that kind of thing. And I think the kids they want to be a part of something like that. So I think it's a good thing.
Well, being at the banquet last night, it shows 2 very large 9th grade class and almost just as large sophomore class coming back.
Absolutely.
I think I counted 25 or 26 between the 2.
Probably, yeah. I know we had between 16 and 18 freshmen, and then we had right around 9 or 10 in that class, and we're right around 9 or 10, 12 or 11 in the junior class too. So we got 3 classes in a row there. They're decent size, and then we'll see how many 8th graders we can get to come out next year. So.
And some experience from freshmen already. I know Seth Fedor started just about every game.
Yeah, Seth Fedor started, and till the end of the season, we got some guys back. Mikey Williams came back, and Seth still played a lot. And I know that Aiden Thomas got some playing time and some varsity reps. I know Oral City played a lot. Jay Green played a lot, got some catches, and Picard played a lot. So we had 4 freshmen that really saw a decent amount of playing time. 4 freshmen, and that's you don't see it very often. Mm-hmm. And all those guys have had contributed in some way. So and we also had a lot of sophomores on the field too.
Mm-hmm. One of the guys that you're not going to have next year is Chance Woodworth. He was a senior this year, and Chance, when I had you on with Coach before the season started, one of the questions I remember asking you was, what's it going to feel like to play in a conference? What were you looking forward to? And you were looking forward to the challenge. How does it look to you now after going through that conference?
It was different, especially because you're not playing with kids that you played with since you were 5 years old. But it was fun. It was challenging, and I think it was awesome being able to win those games and get the conference championship at the end. Winning
5 of those 6 games, is there any one game there that stands out to you as the most exciting for you yourself? I know I got mine already picked out. I'm sure you guys do too. It was the best game for me to call.
Obviously my favorite one was Fairview, because that was a game that if we won, we basically won at least a share of the conference. And so that one was definitely fun to be in. But one that I thought really was key to the year was Mercyhurst, because that kind of like set up everything. Because then it ended up we were 2-2. We got some momentum going in, and then we just ended up finishing out really strong.
Of course, Mercyhurst was the conference home opener,
Yeah,
and I believe it was also homecoming night.
yeah, it was, and we won like what
33-7.
33-7, and
They scored 7, and we scored the last 33. Am I right?
yeah.
Yes, yes.
But I mean, I think that was really good for the team because we had our first like big win, first conference win.
Beautiful night,
Yeah.
huge crowd.
It was homecoming, and we finally got that momentum going to help finish out and do better for the rest of the year.
Rocco, you said something last night at the banquet that made me think a little bit. I don't think I've ever heard a coach, maybe I heard it wrong, but I don't think I've ever heard a coach say that a loss was good. I'm thinking it was the champion game. I think you said something like, if we would have won that game, we probably would have struggled to win the conference, but it was a good loss because it got the kids to build momentum going into the conference. Did I hear you say that correctly?
Yeah, I did. And the reason why, and I truly believe that, I mean, if it would have been a solid win, maybe not, but if we would have just won because we scored in that last drive and we would have held them, the way we were doing things at that moment weren't going good. That was a very bad week of practice as a whole. Our leaders, I felt like they weren't leading as well as they could have, which I put a lot of blame on myself, just, teaching them how to be leaders and the correct way to be leaders and that kind of thing. And after that second loss, it was, where are we going to go from here? And I believe, we had a pretty solid Saturday where we had I was pretty upset. We'll just put it that way. That Saturday, and I kind of just told it how I felt, and it was one of the first times in 6 years that I really kind of got upset with the team, and they didn't take it. I think they took it to heart, and Nick Drew and Tyson Hunt and Alex Sturgill, some of them guys, Alex Rivera, those leaders. They turned their whole attitude and really came into being true leaders after that point. And our practice tempo went way up. Everything we started doing went way up. There was no excuses of who's hurt, who's this. It's just the next guy step in and just get the job done. Whether it's a freshman or sophomore, just play.
Credit to you, your staff, and the kids themselves.
Absolutely, and the leadership got great after that point. I think if we would have just barely won that game, then all that stuff, we would have said, oh, we won the game, and we might have continued to have, and on me, I probably continued to just go through the next practice week the same way we went to the practice week the week before, and it might not have led to more wins. It might have led to some more, downfalls, and who knows if we would ever hit that point. So I think it was one of them losses that it hurt us, especially late in the season. Now we know if we would have won that game, we could have, probably would have made the playoffs, but I don't know if we would have won a conference championship. I don't know if we would have won 6 out of the next 7 games, had we won that game. Unless we would have been in the right spot and won it solidly, but we didn't. We weren't there at that time. So.
You said after starting 0-2 that you really didn't have an idea, where's this season going? I remember you saying that last night too. Are we going to struggle or are we going to get better? Well, we found out in a hurry, right? Because I think they went on a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was we were 0-2, and we didn't know the teams. We didn't know Oil City, Mercyhurst, Prep Title. We didn't know how good they were, where we fit with them, and that kind of thing. And I truly think those teams, they were very solid teams, especially Mercyhurst, Prep, and Titusville and Corey, just solid teams. But our practice tempo got so much better. Mercyhurst Prep, if you would have looked at them the rest of the year, they ended up 6-4, 7-3, and going to the playoffs for the PA conference. That was a great Mercyhurst Prep team. I don't think they realized how good they were because they were down the year before.
That was a big night for Tyson Hunt, if I remember.
He
even ran back a punt.
He ran back a punt. We had a blocked field goal. We kicked 2 field goals. So it was one of the nights where we kind of won on special teams. So it was 33-7.
Yeah.
But if we don't have a great special teams night, and I don't think we had any turnovers, so everything kind of went our way that night. And that team's a lot better than people thought at that point. And I think even they didn't think they were that good. And then as they built momentum, they ended up being a really good team. And that was probably the most talented team we played all year. As far as just athletes, just they had a Division I kid and who's going to be back next year. So I agree with Chance too. Saying that was a huge win for us. And I know the most exciting game was Titusville, but
That's the one I had picked.
but the biggest game, and I try to tell these kids, Mercyhurst is the most talented team, and you guys took care of them because you didn't turn the ball over, and special teams was important. And we didn't have very many big plays that game, like just huge, like I'm telling you, offensively, like big runs. It was just a chunk of change at a time, a little bit at a time. We played good defense, and then we capitalized on special teams with a punt return for a touchdown and some block kicks and that kind of thing. I think we had a block punting and a block field goal actually.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well played game there. Week 1 you played at LeBray. Actually, if you could take away that first quarter, if I remember correctly, the second, third, fourth quarter, you won that game. You gave up 21 points in the first quarter. Was that a case of opening game jitters?
a little bit of first game jitters, but if you look at it, yeah, we had 3 guys on the defensive side of the ball returning, and like four or five on the offensive side of the ball. So we had a lot of kids, that was their first varsity football game out there. And and I think that was another part of the whole deal where it took them until week 3 or 4 to get comfortable playing varsity football at that speed, that pace of the game. Mm-hmm. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had a lot of kids on the field that night that this is their first game, and it was against a good LeBray team. And they had a Division I kid, and when they gave him the ball, it was lights out. But yeah, we fumbled the first play of the game. Then they blocked a kick, and then they returned a kick for a touchdown. So, like you said, 21-0, and you start off the season like that. It was kind of hard, and I was proud the kids didn't give up that game. Mm-hmm. But I think it was a lot of just an experience.
Another game they didn't give up was Champion. I think it was like 15 seconds or so where Champion scored the winning score, so you took it down to the end. It was a game, though, that really didn't play all that well in, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we hurt ourselves with some penalties.
We did. Well, yeah, they had a fake punt for a touchdown, and then we had some penalties and some turnovers, and we struggled offensively that game, and just kind of trying to find a rhythm. We couldn't really find a rhythm. And then, sure enough, at the end of the game, we scored like 6 plays in a row. I think Tyson had like 4 carries out of 6 where he got probably 20 plus yards and scored. And then we just had to hold him off, and we didn't at that point. So credit to them there. But that was one of them games that you wish you could have had back, and but at the same time, I think it was probably meant to be. I truly think if
the game on your schedule that everybody scared me before the season started with was Oil City. The experts out there. Oh, you're not going to beat Oil City, and here you go over there and you kill them.
Yeah,
was at 35-12.
Yeah, it was one of those weird things. Our first PA game, and we've heard nothing but good things about them. And they got a new coach and some stuff that was trying to change things there. But they had a very good season last year, and they struggled a little this year. And at that point, though, we had no idea where they were. But the other thing on our side of the ball is, at that point, Alex Sturgill didn't play that game. Mikey Williams was still out.
PJ was hurt.
Yeah, PJ had a concussion. So we kind of went into the meeting room Sunday with the coaching staff, and we're like, we don't have any running backs left, really, except for some young kids. Mm-hmm. So we're like, well, let's go 5 wide. Hey, let's go 5 wide, and let's just let Tyson run the ball and keep it real basic. And let's just, what do we have to lose now? We're on to. Let's just simplify everything. We're going to run, a couple pass plays. Tyson will call the plays on one side, the passing routes, and I'll call the passing routes on the near side that are closer to me, and he'll call it to the side that he can see better. And then we'll call a couple of runs for Tyson, and so the line all night just had to block, 2 or 3 run plays, and then one passing, one pass protection. So we just simplified it, yeah. So we just simplified the game plan, and to our shock, it was like, wow, this is working better than we ever would have imagined, And in that game, Tyson was the man. I remember just the first half, they couldn't stop him at all, and he got some plays called back that were kind of ridiculous. Otherwise, he would have even had more stats.
Did you feel this year watching your team play that how Tyson went, your team went?
Yeah, that was absolutely it. And that was another nothing put against Tyson, but that was kind of what we found out in that week too. And by no means his fault. He just had the flu that week, so he didn't practice 2 days. He was there, he didn't practice, and our tempo of practice was just really slow. And that point forward, and he had a tough game. He struggled that game too, probably still a little bit sick. But after that game, you just saw it. I said, Tyson, if you practice fast and your tempo, we're going to practice better. And he took that to heart, and he did a great job of leading the offense in practice, and then you saw the same thing carry over to games. You know, when he was on an offense, we were on an offense. I mean, it was a direct correlation. He was our leader offensively, and if he played on offense and he was on, we were on as a whole unit. So
When you were announcing the awards last night, I don't know if you saw me shaking my head, Artie and me both. Second team for Tyson in Pennsylvania and the county, not first team. That shocked me.
Yeah, you know, in the county or in the conference we did play. The Tysonville quarterback was very good. He was a thousand kid, and so he kind of won every award that they had over there. And I think Tyson was a very close second behind him. In the county, you know, we had some good quarterbacks, and it's none of us play each other anymore. You know, so Grand Valley is the only team that saw him live. Otherwise, I think if those other teams would have saw him live, there would have been no doubt that he would have got first team. But I think they just kind of go, oh, well, you know, this team's bigger. We think they play a tougher schedule, and then you guys lost to Grand Valley, you know, 1-on-1. So, you know, when you vote for those things, I think all the coaches are trying to do the best they can. You know, but I think it just hurts you sometimes when we don't play each other and see each other, and you're just talking stats. And although Tyson's stats overall were probably the best out of the three quarterbacks that made it. So I was, you know, it is what it is, and I don't think anyone was against Tyson, but I think he had a good year. And
I think he had an excellent year.
He had
except for week 10, but we'll get there.
You know, he had an amazing year, and you just never know how voting goes. And that's why I tell these kids it's better to deserve honors and not get them than to get honors you don't deserve. And
I think your whole team had a great year. We'll give you a little bit of break. I'm going to bring in Austin here for a minute. Austin Pinkerton. I remember calling your name quite a bit as a sophomore. So how excited were you playing football this year?
It was.
Did you play as a freshman?
No.
I didn't think so.
He played. You didn't start. He was on the team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No, it was unbelievable. I mean, that's all I wanted freshman year is to get on the field, and then being able to walk out game 1 and be on the field till game 10. It was all I could dream of. I mean, I didn't want to leave the field, and when I did, I was mad that I left the field.
How would you summarize your season?
Solid. I mean, there was things that I wish I could have done better, and there was things that
What is something you wish you could have done better?
say tackling. I did a lot. I had good tackles, but there was a lot of them where I should have kept my foot and not dove.
Mm-hmm.
But that was about it.
I think you did good as a sophomore. Looking forward to seeing you as a junior. Speaking of tackling, Nathan Eaton, as the season went on, I noticed I was calling your name more and more and more too, making tackles. Were you getting more comfortable?
It was more of like the idea of the conference championship. Like Tyson would always say, in practice like you want, practice like a champion, and it was mentality and just wanting to win the championship and just more aggressive, and it was more competition between me and Tanner Capon. Me and him, we played the same position, and we'd switch every series, and I'd come out and we'd brag to each other on the sidelines, like I had more tackles than you and stuff like that. And it was competition that drove me, and just getting into the backfield and the feeling of just getting tackles in the backfield and a tackle in general. I mean, it was more of just the excitement.
Mm-hmm. Well, you did a great job. All three of you did. I would like to ask the three of you last night, of course, at the banquet, a very inspirational speech by the pastor from New Leaf Church, talking a lot about character and wisdom. Chance, what did you get out of that speech?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I go to the same church as him, so I've heard the same story before. So, I mean, but like, from what you do learn from that is you learn that if you do something wrong and you don't try to somehow type of fix it or some way admit to it, it kind of wears off on you, and you just keep thinking about it. And to me, it does get to you about that type of stuff.
Great speech, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Couldn't have a better choice. Austin, what did you get out of that?
Well, a little bit I got out of it, I had Wyatt trying to hurt my phone on my pocket the whole speech, so yeah, that was what all the noise was. But I heard him talking about, if there's a fork in the road, take it and all that. And what I got out of that is, life is full of chance, and if you don't take any, it's going to be boring, and you're never going to get anywhere you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Nathan?
Well, I know Coach Rock. He always that's all. That's one of the big things he wants, his character. And like on the field, when when people are getting in arguments, I try to rush over to get in between it because character wins in the end. I tell everybody that tries to get in arguments with the other team. And one of the big ones was Sturtle. He liked to get in other people's faces, and I would just jump in between them because it just shows if you where does arguing get you? Where does trying to smack talk other people, like what is that? I don't see that how that gets you anywhere. And I just like how if you keep a good character, it just shows that it just shows that you're a better team.
Made you think, didn't it?
A little
After
bit.
you talked.
A little bit. Grand Valley, they were a big one, and I noticed that it's only Ohio teams that ever want to do that. Like Grand Valley and LeBray. That was it.
So,
I was jumping in between people that always wanted to fight. I never wanted to see my team argue with other teams. It just made me feel like I don't want to be that team that smack talks other people and just
Sure.
doesn't look right.
You mentioned Alex Sturgill. Go back to Rocco for a minute. Rocco, you're talking about all his defense last night with all those tackles in his high school career. And I always looked at Alex, I'm looking at it from the offensive side. Never realized all those defensive numbers.
Oh, absolutely. He's a great defensive player, and we needed him on defense at all times to, just to carry the defense. He's a smart kid, and when it comes to football, he knows he can read a defensive line or an offensive line. He knows his blitzes, and he's just a good kid at getting to the ball. I mean, he's a ball hawk, and he always has been. And he ended up starting his freshman year at Edgewood after like game 3, I think, and he ended up with 90 tackles still, and then. Like 120 his sophomore year at Edgewood, and then and then when he came here, he had 108 last year and 113 this year, and I was being out in a game and a half. So, he has always been our star defensively, and he's a kid that offensively he probably could have rushed for 2,000 yards, but then we couldn't use him on defense, so he needed his break. So he was our defensive guy that really just solidified the defense and kept us together. So. On the offense side, we had to give him a break. And if you ever saw him, if he carried the ball more than probably 30 or 40 yards, which he did occasionally, he was winded. He needed that break because he played so hard on defense. When you play middle linebacker, there's no play you're taking off. Just like D-line, that kind of thing. Where if you're a safety, there's sometimes where they run the ball and get stopped in the backfield, you never really move much. And that doesn't happen at linebacker. Every play you're running and so we had to give him some rest on offense, and he still did a heck of a job. His 10 to 15 carries a game. So
Along with these three here and Alex, another guy who played well on defense was Johnny Moneypenny. Absolutely. First name Johnny?
Yeah.
Johnny. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a kid that he's a sophomore, and we kind of saw toward the end of last year how he kind of had a motor, and he ended up lettering for us, but just getting a couple plays here or there. But this year, once we hit our first scrimmage, really, we're like, okay, he's the guy. I mean, he was just a hard kid to block because he just has a motor where he don't quit. He doesn't stop his feet from going. He don't accept being blocked. So teams would try to double team him, and he would just get lower and skinnier and just keep driving his feet. And if he'd fall on the ground, he'd get back up and go make a tackle. And he was just that type of kid, where he has no regards to his body. The last game he broke his hand and never said anything. No one even knew. Mm-hmm. After the game, I'm like, he comes and tells me, I think I broke my hand. So you might want to get that checked. Oh no, I'm too tough to get my hand checked. And I'm like, well, the season's over. You can get you can get it casted now. It ain't gonna hurt you. So, but he just that mentality where he doesn't really have any regards for his body, and he just lets everything go.
Bigger guy than I thought. Seeing him in person last night, looked bigger than he does out on the football field. Yeah.
He's a solid kid, very strong, very solid, good weight room kid.
Mm-hmm. I hear Alex is going out for basketball. Tim's got to like that.
Yeah, absolutely. He said it's to help him stay in shape. So
even the wrestling mat for the basketball court.
Yeah.
That Titusville game was, of course, for me. I'm looking at it from my point of view. It was one of the most exciting games in the 25 years I've been calling the games. How was that game for you? I guess it ended up, they missed a 2-pointer after a touchdown was the difference in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was nerve-wracking, obviously. It was a nerve-wracking game, but we'll take the results any day. And that was a great ball club, you know, and they were better. They were better on the field than they looked, you know, and as you know, we watched them come on the field and we're like, you know, we knew they were good on film. They beat Mercyhurst. They won some games in the last. They won 2 games in a row in the last second of the game. They beat Fairview and Mercyhurst in the last minute of the game, and you know, we're looking at them come on the field and they just looked small. They didn't look very tough, you know, and then they came out and they hit you and they smacked you, and the quarterback was a very good player.
2 of the best quarterbacks in the conference, probably
Absolutely,
going at each
they
other.
were. I think they probably were the 2 best.
Everybody in the press box before the game was talking about their quarterback. I had to say something. We've got a pretty good quarterback
Oh,
ourselves.
absolutely. Those are definitely 2 of the best, and you know, going against each other, it was a battle, and they did a very good job. Their coaching staff did a good job of finding some areas that, you know, that exposed us early in the game. So they have some run pass options, and they knew our linebackers were hard downhill guys, and so they were hitting those slants over top of them. And but I think what it came down to is late in the second quarter, and then especially in the third quarter, you know, we just out hit them. Because that's one thing that our team had always done is we hit. Alex Sturgill hits, PJ Matthews hits, and we had kids that were just out hitting them. Our defensive line, him and Capon, Eden Capon, Money Penny. I mean, those kids, they hit, and when they hit you, you feel it. And
Capon, very impressive too.
yeah, absolutely. And those kids hit you, you feel it. And a lot of those crossing routes the first half that no one saw, they just saw the quarterback scrambling. Sturgill was hitting some crossers that were, you know, they never got the ball. They were just running a cross route, and he just put them down on the ground. Well, the second half, those kids were like, I don't want to run a crossing route anymore. You know, so, and the quarterback started getting into the air, the thing where he wanted to get rid of the ball quick. So he was completing all those balls the first half, and I'm pretty sure he was 9 for 11 the first half and like 2 for 11 the second half in his completions. And it was because those receivers weren't sure they wanted to catch the ball, and he was trying to get the ball, you know, rid of it quick. And I think it came down to we just kind of wore him out and out hit him, and then, you know, we got some good plays go our way, and we got lucky in a little bit when, you know, they catch the touchdown pass about 6 inches out of the end zone there, and but that's how football goes. So we'll take it.
The only game I missed was the game at Corey. My son got married that night. What happened at Corey?
You know,
I don't have any information on that.
yeah,
so.
you know, it was another game where we struggled with turnovers.
And was that a rainy night?
It didn't end up raining. It rained earlier that day. It didn't rain on the field. But it was a night where we couldn't find the end zone. We moved the ball very well. We moved it. We got inside the 10, and we got inside the 5, and we had to kick a field goal. And we moved it down again inside the 10. And I called a bad play. I'll blame it on this. I called a bad play. And then we had to kick another field goal. And so right there, and then every other drive after that, it would be, you know, we'd get 3 or 4 first downs and then a turnover, an interception. It ended up being that kind of night, and they did a solid job of hitting some big plays here or there, but the score was a lot closer than it looked. And then I think in the fourth quarter they wore us out, and because they didn't run the ball well all night. They had one run over 20 yards in the first 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, they had like 2 or 3 runs over like 30 yards, and God got hurt right before halftime.
Never
so,
played the rest of the year, right?
Yeah, and so I remember us just trying things at halftime. We put Rivera at safety, which he didn't do, and Rivera was manning up their best player all game. So we tried to put Seth on him, Fedor, you know, and that's all us. So then their best player scores a touchdown over Seth. Well, we can't blame Seth; he's a freshman covering their best receiver, you know.
Yeah.
And
Right, like he was very impressive.
yes, so yeah, absolutely. So it was one of the games things didn't go our way, and you know, it's another one we wish we could have had back.
After that game, he went on another 3-game winning streak. Harbor Creek was a little tougher, I thought, than I thought going into that game. He won that game 21-14. They played you guys pretty tough.
You know, first of all, I do think they were tougher.
They were a big squad.
They did. They were a solid team, a lot of numbers and good kids. So I don't know. They obviously struggled in a lot of their games, and I don't know if it was confidence of their kids or what it was. But I thought, as far as just players, they were very solid. But again, we killed it. We had 5 turnovers that game, and so did they. But I mean, you know, 5 turnovers, you're just happy to win. Mm-hmm. You know, you really shouldn't ever win if you have 5 turnovers. So we kind of struggled. You look
I
at the
think they
schedule.
had 5 too.
They did.
Yeah.
You know, so our defense played well. Our offense again struggled, and we moved the ball except for those turnovers. So, you know, that's something we're going to look at next year. You know, because for 3 years in a row we were good with turnover margin, and this year we were back
Your
to.
teams are good in that and good in penalties.
Yeah,
Don't
so,
get too many.
so we've been good with that, and this year we kind of fell a little bit. You know, we've been in the plus for the last 3 years, and this year we were in the like -2, but it was still in the minus. Or our first 2 years here we were like in a -15s and minus. I mean, we weren't very good. So, but yeah, that's a game that we were glad we won. You know, but we didn't play as well as we wanted.
Then you had back-to-back weeks at Girard and at Fairview where you scored 42 points or more in both those games.
Yeah, those games I think we got our confidence going, and they're just solid wins. I mean, we again our turnovers went down. We didn't have any turnover. We had like 1 in each of those games. We played solid defense. Most of those scores came late in the game for the other team. You know, they were actually bigger margins, and they were fun games to play. They were fun, and the Fairview one, like I said, you know, that was a pretty, you know, their record wasn't great, but it was a good running team. We saw on film every game they had 200-300 yards rushing, and we knew we'd have to outscore them, but we didn't know we'd play that well defensively. But I think PJ had 19 tackles that game, which is unheard of, and Sturgill had like 15. You know, and so those are 2 fun ones to play in for these kids. So.
And then the last game, of course, Grand Valley. I think you said last night that after winning the conference was kind of a letdown game going into that game. Now I was all pumped up for that game, so I don't know what happened there. I know Tyson did not have a good game, that I know.
Yeah, you know, I think it was one of those deals where they were so excited to win a conference championship, and I don't know this, but this is just kind of my take on it because I'm with you. I don't know. You know, we win the game, you make the playoffs, and I'm sure most of our kids had that same feeling and whatever. But I think I've seen it other teams I've coached before when they win a game, and it's such an emotional feeling, like of how great they feel at that moment, that it's hard to get up and go and practice another week. But I didn't think we had a bad week of practice. I thought it was still a pretty decent week of practice. But then when we got out, you know, there were some struggles, and you watch on film, and you know, Tyson was trying. He tried hard, you know, and I don't know, maybe he was trying too hard, type of thing, and
Very well could be
making bad decisions. And really, and I was going to say that if you look at our schedule, other than the Mercyhurst Prep and Titusville game, which were back to back, and even the Titusville game gave us a scare, but the other 3 home games we did not play well at home, you know, and I don't know the reason for that. I don't know if that's us, you know, our stands being packed and our kids being so excited to play that they're playing as hard as they could, but they're not playing smart. You know, we're turning the ball over because we're trying to throw the ball and make a big play when it's not there. You know, just eat it, throw it out of bounds. You know, that kind of thing. Or guys are trying to run too hard and they get, you know, they're fumbling the ball. Or on defense, they're over pursuing, you know, because they're flying to the ball and they're doing what they're supposed to do, but they're not playing their gap. You know, that kind of thing. So I'm not really sure, but you know, that last one was a tough one, and it was a very good, solid Grand Valley team.
I was just going to say, sometime you got to just tip your cap. They just
But
played exceptionally
I
well.
don't think it should have been a 37-7 game. It should have been a ball game that we're in the game, and but it is what it is. And the great thing is for these guys, they saw what happened in that game, and they're going to learn from it. They're going to learn from it, and they're going to be hungry next year because of it.
Nathan, speaking of next year, what are you looking to improve upon going into next season?
Being accountable for myself, but also being accountable for my teammates, because there's a lot of, I'm not going to say a lot, because I mean there's the seniors, there's very key spots that need to be filled, and I'm just trying, I want to be a leader and push people to, you know, work towards filling in those spots. Like, I want to work hard, but I also want those upcoming underclassmen to see that I'm working hard, and I want them to see like the progress that I'm making, and I want them to follow, and I want them to, you know, be on the train of being better and trying to go after another conference championship and maybe even more.
Sounds good to me. Austin, what about you?
Hey,
Now you're going to be a junior next year. You're going to be a senior next year. Yeah, you're going to be a junior.
I think next year we, like I said, we need to focus on making sure we come out with another conference championship, and hopefully we go to playoffs and do great things. But mainly for my class, I think we need to focus on getting our fundamentals down and getting stronger in our position. So when they leave and it's our senior year, that we are ready and we don't have to worry about the guy behind us. We all trust each other and we are a solid team.
Now, you mentioned the word fundamentals. That's usually a very strong term for baseball teams. Do you feel that it's very strong for a football team as well?
Yeah, I think, if I'm not covering, in our 3 coverage when I should be, I'm giving up a touchdown. If, the middle linebackers aren't blitzing the gap when we call a blitz, we're giving up, yards we can't be giving up. Everything needs to be done the way it's supposed to be, or it doesn't work out for us.
Mm-hmm. And Chance, of course, this was your last year.
Yep.
So what do you see? What did you see from these kids, juniors and sophomores, and even some of the freshmen, that can be a better future coming up? What did you see?
I saw that they all love playing football. I mean, every single junior on our team played varsity reps, and they all did a great job. And then most of the sophomores, most of them played quite a bit. And you saw at the beginning of the season, like most of the sophomores and juniors who didn't play, they were really nervous, especially at LeBray and even Champions still. But like as the season went on, they all realized that it's still just playing football. And
You could see that. I saw that too.
Obviously over the year, you see, as you look at the schedule right there, those first 2 games, they were nervous and everything. And as the year went on, you see 2-3 game win streaks. And then you see that they really are great athletes and they're all really good and they all really like playing football. And there was a few freshmen that played quite a bit when we needed people. When Mikey Williams came back, he showed he really wanted to play. And I think that they're going to be really good the next few years.
College plans?
For me, I want to go to college for speech pathology, to be a speech therapist.
Good. Any college in mind?
I mainly want to go to Kent, Maine, or Akron.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, good luck on a good season and closing out with a championship.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Rocco, he mentioned the schedule. I hear that Champion's not going to be on our schedule next year. Did I
No.
hear correctly?
Yeah, they're not going to be on the schedule next
Who's
year.
replacing them?
As of now, I think it's a done deal. I'm not positive. It's Rootstown. So it's another game that's down that way. Probably.
Youngstown area team?
It's more. I think it's more Portage County. So it's probably past Champion a little bit. It's a little bit of a drive.
It's an away game. Okay.
Yeah, it's a away game.
LeBray and Grand
But
Valley are on the schedule.
but it's a good fit. Everyone else should be exactly the same.
Okay. I hear Edgewood returns in another year to your schedule.
Yeah, I don't know if that's finalized yet, but we're definitely working hard to try to get them back on the schedule in 2 years, and maybe get them or another county team or 2 back on it. Where we can fit them.
Well, it was nice having you guys join me on Around the Town with Chuck today. Congratulations again on a 4th winning season and a conference championship. And you've been here 6 years, so you've done a great job, and keep it up.
Thank you. Appreciate being on your show.
Good luck to Nathan.
Thank you.
And Austin. And of course, good luck to you in college.
Thank you.
That's another edition of Around the Town with Chuck Guglielmo.